to the Hobart Commuter. So, it's midwinter in Hobart at the moment, and that means it's Dark Mofo Festival time. Big calendar event here in Hobart. Essentially, it's this festival that blends these traditions around the winter solstice and mythology and sex and death and birth and life and all that other stuff. And it's got some pretty good food too, as well. Now, I thought on my ride home today, I'd talk about a specific aspect of the festival, though, that relates very tangentially to cycling. Now, one of the main attractions, or probably the premier artistic event or installation as part of this festival, is a work called Underneath the Bitumen by Mike Parr. He's a performance artist in the vein of like Mariana Abramovich. Now, Mike's performance involves him being buried under the road, specifically Macquarie Street, which is what I'm going to turn right onto here, just after this street. And I'll get to ride past him, actually, not over him. He's going to be buried in a couple of hours. He'll be buried in a shipping container, where he'll spend 3 days without any food, and he'll meditate, and apparently he'll read aloud from Robert Hughes's The Fatal Shore, which is a history book published a couple of decades ago, I think, sort of documenting the birth of Australia and the kind of through the brutality of the British convict transportation system. That'll become relevant in a moment. It's basically, he's described his work as a monument to victims of totalitarianism, so victims of Nazism, Stalinism. Yeah, so also Indigenous victims, particularly with reference here in Tasmania, of the kind of horrific things that they went through as part of British colonial rule in the 19th century. Now, what does that all have to do with cycling? Well, the piece is called Underneath the Bitumen. And it's interesting, you know, this is what we're riding on at the moment, is bitumen. Really nice bitumen too. I think this is freshly laid. As of about a year ago, they resurfaced this. And I tend not to think of it other than a combination of hydrocarbons that provides a very smooth and nice ride. He's talking about bitumen. There's two real things he's talking about, I guess. He's underneath the surface because this history is denied. Arguably, this history is denied by a lot of contemporaries, just people, I guess. They don't want to know about the Black War, which was a war between the Tasmanian Aborigines and the British settlers, and the genocide that accompanied that. But also the bitumen. He was talking about the significance of bitumen. So it being the most abstract and totalizing surface that modernism has produced. It's basically it's this kind of suppression, state-sponsored suppression of us. That's what bitumen represents. I bet you never thought of bitumen that way. Yeah, so hence why he's reading that Robert Hughes book as a kind of complement to that idea of this thing being a monument, and the shipping container will remain. It'll be filled with cement, and it'll remain underneath Macquarie Street here. Yeah. So what's inspired him is actually a Russian painter called Kazimir Malevich, I think. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. He was a Russian painter. Most famous work is a painting called The Black Square, which is exactly what it is, Black Square. And it's often called the 0 point of painting and the birth of modernism, a kind of a rejection of the pictorial tradition of Western civilization, which you can kind of understand. Like in 1915, he probably, given the Great War was going on and stuff, there wasn't much beauty in the world, and he wanted to portray that. That's just my take. Anyway, here we go. Oh no, it's a bit further actually. So it's outside the town hall, and you'll probably see some preparations here. You'll see some pink light up ahead there on a building. This is all the Mona taking over the city. There are actually some inverted crosses over to my right, beyond the people there, which, there's a petition to remove them from there by various Christian groups, I think. They don't particularly like the crosses. You can see them there on my right. Yeah, so I guess I apologise for this, bit of an anticlimax. What you can see is the roadworks here getting ready, I guess, to probably close the street It's basically directly under here. You'll see some, somebody's taking a picture there on my right. If you can see it here, the thing is directly underneath us here. There it is there. So there'll be some, obviously some preparations and stuff around that to draw people's attention. And I actually think it's a good thing. There's been some question of Mike, because he's not an indigenous person, that there's a bit of a cultural misappropriation and he shouldn't be drawing attention to this. It should be actually the Tasmanian Aboriginals who are doing this, which I think, I don't have a problem with that actually. I actually think it's good publicity and it does draw this cause out and gets people talking about it, which I think is a good thing. Anyways, that was the massive anticlimax to Mike Parr's Underneath the Bitumen. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.